Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Political Brown Kid here, and I'm finally getting around to. I'm just providing my thoughts on this interview from the Kevin Wesley TRUTH FACtory. So, big up to the Kevin Wesley TRUTH FACtory. He talked with of course, everybody knows it's the infamous now video, which to be honest with you, I thought it was a prank. I thought it was a skit. Um, Maybe it's not. I don't know, but they're seeming to act like that it wasn't. But I just thought it was so ridiculous that it was a skit. But that's the whole Cheesecake Factory first date calamity, if you want to call it. And they were on the Kevin Wesley TRUTH FACtory show. So once again, if you want to check out the original video, check it out there. But I'm going to just play you the audio snippets from it and then just provide you with just kind of a little bit of breakdown of how the interview went and what I have gleaned from listening to them on the Kevin Wesley show. So without further ado, let's kind of jump into this and let's just take it bit by bit. First and foremost, if you haven't seen the original post about the female who didn't want to be taken to the Cheesecake Factory, she thought that was beneath her. She thought that it was an inappropriate first date. She wanted something more elaborate, more fantastical, because she said that she was a beautiful woman and she deserved better. And she's a black female dating an Indian male on a first date. So just kind of giving you that dynamic, because you have to understand that dynamic, because it could be cultural differences coming into play as well. Could be, could not be. But just providing you with that detail. And so she didn't want to get out of the car. Date went wrong. And there was also other things too. She was 1 hour late for the date. So his original date plan for whatever restaurant he was originally planning on taking her fell through. So he decided to take her to his favorite place, which was Cheesecake. She didn't like it. So that's just the summary of the original post. And then, of course, they're on the Kevin Wesley show, TRUTH FACtory, talking about just kind of giving us a little bit more context and deep, in-depth analysis behind it. So let's just kind of get into it.
But yeah, it's been difficult.
Sure.
Well, and it's even before this, dating has already been difficult for me.
So there, I just want to kind of stop this at this point, just to kind of hit on this quick video. But if you listen to Jay, he's a Indian male. His family's originally from, I think he said Pakistan, so Pakistan or India, I think he said Pakistan. But he's an Indian male and he's here in the States and he's finding dating difficult. And he said that later on, he's going to say dating is different back where he's from. So it just kind of gives you and shows you how things are breaking down. It's got to be the American and or Western culture. Because if you listen to it, here's an Indian male saying the same thing that a lot of black males have been saying, that a lot of white males have been saying. I haven't really heard Asian males. Like, when I say Asia, of course, India is on the Asian continent, but I'm talking about like Chinese, Thai, Korean, Japanese, so forth, from that descent. You don't really hear like their perspective on like the dating scene. But when you listen to white males, black males, and then you have an Indian male saying that dating, it has been difficult for me. He's not just referring to just this one date that he took out with her. He's saying dating, period, has been difficult for him. So let's just kind of continue.
I imagine your views kind of clash with what you're looking for and what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think so. Because, I think in general, my values kind of reflect wanting to build something that lasts.
Yes, sir.
And I want to make sure that anyone that I meet is willing to build a really strong foundation based on our mutual values. And I think it in general, a lot of the people that I meet, either they don't have time to set towards building something like that, or they just don't want to because they're younger, they want to experience casual dating or whatever it is.
So now listen to that, and see, this is not just with this guy. This guy's reflective of a lot of guys, regardless of race. A lot of us are dating because we're trying to find one exclusive person to kind of be with. There are guys, trust me, there are guys, I know women are going to have a heart attack and they're doing backflips and somersaults or whatever hearing me say that, but that's because you're choosing the guy that you want to, the guy that wants to have fun in the sun, like that old song. You're choosing those guys because you want to have fun. You think that life is about lollipops and rainbows and that people are just having fun all day, every day. But when you're dealing with serious guys, guys that are about something, listen to what Jay's saying. Most guys, we're like, we want to find someone that we can build something with, somebody that we can build a family with, somebody that we can just have mutual, long-term life partnerships with. And but the women aren't doing, they're not looking at it from that perspective. These women are out here talking about having a roster. They're talking about very male things. They're taking on male personas. They want to have rosters. They want to have fun. They don't want you to care about how many men they've slept with. They just want to do the most degenerative, nasty things out here and do whatever it is they want to do without or with impunity. They want to be able to do whatever it is they want to do and not be judged for it. But here it is. Here's Jay expressing what a lot of men have already expressed, that we want to find someone. But the guys that talk like this, we don't get any play. But I'm going to tell y'all why Jay's getting play in a minute. So I'm going to get into that because this is kind of an odd couple if you look at them. But I'm going to touch on that in a minute. So let's get back to the video.
Let's back up a little bit. To be fair, I mean, I was always raised that the man is supposed to cater to you. I mean, you're courting me, so court me. Mm-hmm. That means wherever I want to go, you take me.
Absolutely.
Whatever I want, you buy me. That's courting. You know, I'm looking for a provider. So, but after the conversation, I could see how there was a lot of in that exchange. I was definitely very self-centered, and I can appreciate if I do want someone to provide for me, I at least gotta be a little bit nice.
Now here we go. She starts talking. Her name is Alicia, so she starts talking. And let me just say this. I'll say this up front. Well, no, I'm gonna walk through this video sequentially. First, she starts off and says, the way she was brought up was that, you know, the man is supposed to court her. And that means courtship, from the way she was raised, or from whomever raised her this way, told her that courtship means that she's supposed to be able to go wherever it is she wants to go, whatever it is that she wants, that a guy is supposed to buy and get for her. That is courting. And that's what she said. There's no, that came straight out of her mouth. She didn't provide, she had a chance to elaborate on that in this discussion. She didn't. So that is her idea of courtship. So either her parents have failed her, parent or parents have failed her and given her that advice, because that is very one-sided, that is half of courtship. Either her parents gave her poor advice, or probably the last, maybe, I don't even know, but probably more than less likely, she took bits and pieces of a conversation when her parents probably gave her the definition of courtship and told her, this is what you're supposed to do and this is what a man is supposed to do. And she totally disregarded what she's supposed to do. She probably, because people have selective memory. People tend to take whatever it is they want and they latch on to it. You can give them all the critiques in the world and they only latch on to, you know, whatever it is they want to hear. And so she just thinks that courtship is about buying her whatever it is she wants to be bought and taking her wherever she wants to go. That is the most horrific thing you've ever heard in your life. For somebody to even think that way. And then, I mean, because think about this. On an initial first date, and especially I've been out here dating too, and you see, and trust me, I've learned from my mistakes, because I've been taking people out on $200 dinners, $150 dinners. And I'm stopped that, because it's just kind of like, because that's the type of places that I like to eat at. I'm trying to eat like how I used to eat when I was in a relationship. But I'm like, no, I can't do that, because at least when I was in a relationship, that person valued and respected me, and we had mutual, you know, I was getting affection out of that. I was getting, consideration, cooperation. I was in a whole relationship, so that's why we ate that way. But I was doing this, kind of out of muscle memory, taking these women to this place. And then I'm realizing after 2 days, and even to be honest with you, if you go now to regular restaurants with the way the price of food has gone up, you can go to a Cheesecake Factory probably and pay $100. I haven't been to Cheesecake in a minute, but cheesecake used to be relatively affordable. Like two people could eat there for like 40, $50. So it was relatively affordable. But that is a nice first date. Matter of fact, a very good first date is a damn Chipotle, to be honest with you now, because I'm like, these women aren't even worthy of it. Because a lot of these women, like I said, in my dating experience, they want to go to, like, I'll take them to these places, and that's been my fault. Take them to these places, get the appetizer. They take the appetizer home. They're ordering food. Ooh, I had it, but then yet, as a matter of fact, it was with this one girl. I kind of touched her hand, and she pulled her hand back. And so all she did was use me to take her around the city, show her, have her out, entertain her, go back home. And then the next thing you know, the only other conversation I get on the phone is about how celibate she is and, and then about my deficiency. But then, just take shots, these aggressive shots about what she knows and what I don't know. And then the ghosting starts. Then she, don't want to call back. And then she don't call back for 3-4 days. And then when the following weekend is coming up, now she popping back up. And then after that, I was like, I'm not even returning your phone call. So then I started ghosting her. But these are the patterns. There's been articles written about guys now asking for refunds from dates because these women go out with them one time. If you know that you're not into a guy, offer to pay for your meal. Even if y'all go to whatever type of restaurant, just be like, hey, look, well, I'll just pay for my own food. Let's just go Dutch. But these women don't want to do that. They always want to pull that be a man, be a real man card to kind of shame you. Like I said, women always like to hit below the belt with the masculinity, and they like to shame you into taking them into places that they want to go so they can get what they want to get, and they don't care about how it financially or emotionally impacts us. So again, you heard it from her mouth. What she thinks courtship is that she gets the world. She's a princess. No, you're not. None of you women are princesses. None of you women are queens. Unless I see that you have a kingdom, if you show me your kingdom and show me your title, that you've been officially given a title, and show me the kingdom that you rule, then I'll call you a queen. You are a woman. I am a man. No more, no less. Whatever job it is that you have, I'm pretty sure you're a nice person, but let's stop with all this I'm a princess stuff, thinking that we're better than and we deserve the world, especially on a first date. The second part you're going to hear her say is, at least she did take ownership. And I'm surprised at that because, like I said before, the women that I've been running into, they don't take accountability or ownership for anything. And the only reason why she's probably taking ownership is because she got dragged through the mud, probably on the internet. I don't know. These women stick together. They probably all thought that she was doing the right thing. I saw videos that said that she was right, but I have no idea with these women. But at least she took ownership. Another observation in just this little clip is that I'm just kind of surprised at the host. I'm surprised in a good way and in a bad way. Good thing, I'm going to say this. This guy, Wesley, he's way better than me because he shows that he's a true host, because a host is supposed to be impartial. And seems like he's being very impartial, because there's no way I could listen to her say that she's supposed to get everything that she wants on a date and through courtship and not kind of course correct her on that. I couldn't do it, but obviously he can. He's a better host than me. He allows it to go through, but whatever. Final thing is, she admits, well, I should have been a little bit nice. That's also the other thing. These women out here, they're running around. If y'all watch the clip, for people who haven't watched the video, please go watch the video. She's sitting in the car. She's on the phone, just looking at her phone, smirking, smiling, making these little faces, talking about, I'm at the Cheesecake Factory, and this is some bull crap. Basically, look where he got me. I ain't getting out this car. And she's just this, and then she starts telling him, well, I'm a beautiful woman, and you're gonna take a beautiful woman to this type of spot. She's being very arrogant. And then she puts him on camera, and we're going to talk about all of this in the end because this is also another part. This is another flaw, spoiler alert. And then she's just basically talking about how she's better than the Cheesecake Factory, and then puts him on camera. And then he basically elaborates in this discussion or in the video that she was 2 hours. I mean, she was 1 hour late for the date. He couldn't even wait in her apartment. And I kind of understand that. You just meeting somebody, you don't know them. So I can kind of understand you not wanting somebody in your apartment. But to make somebody wait for a whole hour in the car, instead of just saying, well, let's just reschedule or let's do this, that, and the third. But you're over an hour late, have this man waiting for you over an hour. You don't want to hold his hand. You're barely talking to him, so he says. You're sitting in the car on your phone. You're detached from him. You don't want to hold his hand, and you're giving him all of this feedback about how he failed and his shortcomings as a human being or as a male on a date. It's totally unacceptable. So at least she admitted that she's a little nice, but it still doesn't fly. So let's get back into the video.
Who also thinks that way? I'm sure you have friends who think that way. I've heard it a lot.
I mean, everybody. I mean, that's what the man's, he's supposed to be the provider.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm a beautiful woman, so I'm expecting to be treated like royalty.
I'm going to refrain from the vulgarities. I pray to God I do. But once again, as you listen, the reason why I've separated this clip out from the other clip is because this clip I kind of wanted to just focus on. It kind of piggybacks off of the last clip about the courtship and stuff. But she's basically, if you guys can see her face, please go watch the Jonathan Wesley Truth Factory. Watch his show. Please watch the video. She's smirking at this point. She's like he's asking her, I'm pretty sure all of your friends, your sphere of influence is kind of, got your back, and this is the reason why you feel this way, and people support you because, your like-minded friends feel the same. And she's like, yep, everybody feels, basically all other women or the women I associate with, we feel this way, and so this goes to show you that the influence of the Western world or the women, just the culture here, it's just an expectation of no longer can you take a girl to, I don't even drink coffee, but so what would she have thought if he asked to take her on a Starbucks date just to get to know her? She would is that acceptable? So she's just basically saying, and she even says it in this clip, I'm a beautiful woman. And again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It is in the eye of the beholder. And trust me, I'm no beauty queen. I'm no whatever it is, Lorenz Tate. I'm none of those guys. I am probably a 5 at best, maybe a 4.6. I have no idea. But the one thing I can say is this, looking at her, she's an average looking woman. She's average looking. And when you start pumping yourself up, you become even less attractive. That's the way a guy looks at you. If you just said, I look decent, if you were a little bit more humble, you would get more cool points. If you were a solid 6, we would say, no, you're about a 6.8 because you're a little bit humble. But when you start bragging and saying, I know I'm a dime piece, and when you start throwing those terminologies out there, you just start getting uglier and uglier. You look at this woman on this couch. Number one, she can't help how tall she is. She says she's 6 feet tall. I don't know if that's going to be in the clips or if I edited it out later on, but she's tall. She's 6 feet tall. So she says, you can see it sitting on this couch. She is way taller than the guy she went out on. She looks like she's way taller than the guy she went out on a date with, but she is also super thick. She's built like a linebacker. Honestly, if you look at this woman, when you look at her compared to when you look at the guy Jay that she went out on a date with, she is twice. She looks like he would just have to really can't even get both his arms around her. She's super thick. She's super thick. She can say up here, I guarantee you, she would say that she's average build. I'm average, or I'm curvy. No, you're thick. You're chunky. You're chunky. She's super chunky. I'm looking at her stomach, sitting on this couch, got a gut. She's thick legs. She needs to lose weight. She won't admit it. And I know people are going to bash me for bashing her, but it's the truth. These women sit up here and they can basically say, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. Everybody, every woman just thinks they are so beautiful. And it goes to show you that women have so many insecurities because there would be no need. Halle Berry and Sally Richardson and them don't say stuff like this. Women that are beautiful do not say how beautiful they are. They don't even focus on their beauty. They just kind of like, I want to be noticed for my talent. But here it is, this woman. I'm beautiful. I deserve. So she thinks that just because she looks good, but has a poor attitude, that she can get to go wherever it is she wants to go. And she doesn't even look that good. And I'm just being honest with you. Again, I think I'm an average looking guy, but I don't go around like when you hear me like talk about how good I look, I'm basically just clowning. But at the same time, I will talk about my deficiencies and looks as well. I joke about myself, and then sometimes I'll play around, act like but I'm just playing when I'm talking to certain people, and they know I'm just joking. But that's what, but she's just sitting up here honestly, literally thinking that she is so fine that she deserves to go wherever it is she wants to go. And she even admits that this is her circle of friends that think this way. So what hope do the rest of us guys have? And I understand why I've been running into the issues that I've been running into. Number one, these women think they so fine, I can't even get a date. They just like, man, forget him. He is way beneath me. So, oh well, I guess that's why I'm in the situation that I'm in. But let's go ahead and get back into this.
Okay, she must have some friends who probably would disagree with her going inside the Cheesecake Factory. Your peer group. So peer pressure probably keeps you from.
Never lived that. Oh my God! I would have never lived that down.
Wow! They ain't the Cheesecake Factory. They wouldn't let you live that down.
No, I have an image to protect.
Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Again, this piggybacks off of the last section that I talked about. It's her sphere of influence. Her friends, all of them think that they're better than the Cheesecake Factory for a first date. Even for a second or third date. They think that they're way better than the Cheesecake Factory. They think every dinner, every time they go out, it has to be Morton's, Ruth Chris. I don't even know if those places are good for them because those are chain restaurants. They just want to go to the top of the top every time. And then you hear her and you listen to how she's talking, and you should see her facial expressions and her disposition as she's sitting down. It's like, yeah, I would never have lived that down. I would never have lived that down. And so basically you're allowing your friends and your peers, and they don't even need to know about where you went. So why is it their concern? Why is it their concern that where you went to eat dinner at or lunch at? And why is that to put why would your friend, if they're your friends, why would they put you down for eating at the Cheesecake Factory? I don't understand that. So once again, this just goes to show you that the influence of just ratchetness, it is pervasive. It is very pervasive. Let's continue.
I mean, as a black woman, I'm going to go there. I mean, as a black woman, we're really tired of having to settle. We want to be treated well. Mm-hmm. We want that soft life. So that's what I thought I was going after. However, what I understand is a part of having a soft life is being cooperative.
Being soft.
Not being combative.
You're right. Actually being soft. Right. Being receptive, being sweet.
Absolutely.
Being pleasant. Right. Because we do understand the value of resources, but it can't be just something for a lifestyle. Resources, a man's resources is not just for a woman's experiences and traveling, and the lifestyle they'll live when married is for providing for the family and the children. And that's why she should seek a man and, respect his resources or prioritize his resources.
Here we go with the typical black woman platitude. Black women and their platitudes. This is the battle cry for black women in 2022, 2023, is that they don't want to settle. But that settling is a very broad statement. You have to for you women out there who are saying you're settling, all you women, black women, because that's where I'm hearing it from. They always say black women have to settle. Why do black women have to settle? Like, I'm trying to figure out and understand, even from my own experience. So I would love for you women to help me out in this category, because every woman I haven't even been able to get my foot in the door with a lot of women. Like I said, like the dating market has not been great for me. So obviously it's my looks, because when you're dating online, the only thing you can see is my bio and my looks. And my bio reads relatively well. You can see my academic background, you can see my professional background. Can't see my salary, but you can see my academic background, my professional background, and I give a little bit of spiel about myself, and then there's my picture. And I'm pretty sure most of you women aren't even reading our backgrounds. So you're going off pictures and you're swiping just like mostly we're swiping. Even though I'm reading backgrounds, I read them, scan through them. Some of them, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I'll say about 70% of the times I read backgrounds. So with that being said, you're swiping and you're not even giving most black men a chance. It's just, you're looking at, when you say settle, what do you mean? I don't want to have to settle for his looks, because the only black guys you give a chance are hood guys or very, very pretty boys. Those are the only two black guys that are getting chances. They either look they're very, very pretty boys, or they're the hood fun, the guys that you want to have fun with. For me, I'm not getting any chances. And then when I do get a chance and I send a girl a message, hey, how you doing? I'm glad we met up, online. I look forward to talking to you. First, tell me a little bit about you. When I give that little introductory spiel, then they unmatch. And I'm like, well, what did I do? So then it's like, well, dang, do they want me to talk rougher to them? So I don't even know what approach to take with you all. So when you say, I don't want to settle, tell me. Because obviously if we don't look good, you don't want to settle for us. We don't look good, and but we have outstanding jobs and we have outstanding professions, and we're outstanding men. Or we look good, we have outstanding jobs, we have outstanding professions, but we may be a little doughy. And that is my situation. I got a little gut. I do admit my stomach I do have a gut that I'm working on. So like I said, I'm in my 40s, and it's like, and that's not an excuse, but I'm providing context. But it's like the women that I'm looking at, it's like your body, you're not in the best of shape either, but you don't even want me, So it's like you feel as though you deserve a man that's, just built like, Rocky in Rocky 3, just totally cut up. So it's like you can't even get your foot in the door, and they complain and complain and complain about men, but they always talk about they shouldn't have to settle, but then they get themselves in with men. Because trust me, I've been in this situation. I've told y'all 2 times I've met. This is going to be a little bit longer section, so please bear with me. I met my ex-girlfriend, and I'll tell y'all, I've told y'all before, she's dealing with a straight ghetto joker. He doesn't work, lost his job, been cheating on her, whatever. And she's like, she called me one day, talk about frustrated, going to work. Yeah, I'm tired of having to carry the load, and I'm tired of having to do this and do everything on my own. And I'm tired of having to be the strong one and to kind of carry this family. And I said, well, what made you choose him? I said, well, let me ask you that question. What made you choose him? Because you've had plenty, me and you were together a long time ago. That didn't work. Because you were busy running the streets and doing whatever it is you wanted to do. So I moved on, and, whoop-de-woo. So now you decide to settle down in your life, and you settle with this guy. And she said, well, it was a vibe. It was a vibe. And I'm like, you and your women with these damn vibes. And that's what I told her. I said, you and your women with these damn vibes. Everything has to be a vibe for y'all. Another woman that I met, this woman literally was talking to a white male supremacist. I don't make this stuff up. Well, I shouldn't say he was a white supremacist, but he was a racist. He was mad at his daughter for dating a black guy. And so she was like, the way he was talking about this black guy, he wanted to kill him, and he just didn't want dating black people, and he didn't like for black men to date white women, and he just did this, that, and the third. But yet this white guy who was married was trying to be with this girl. I met her on a black dating website, and the only reason why she wanted to talk to me was to talk to me about how black men weren't nothing. And I thought she wanted to talk to me about, getting together and, like, let's, hooking up and building up and getting to know one another. Our conversations were always with men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That was our conversation. She talked about what men do wrong, and then I would go back and I would try to divert it back to me and her getting together, and then she would kind of chop that down and get us back on track. And that's all she wanted to talk about. And so then I asked her, I said, well, why are you entertaining? So then she did mention, I said, well, you're talking to this man that's married, this white man that's married, and you talk all this black stuff. And I said, well, what's going on? And she's just like, well, you know what? Us black women are just tired. We're tired of having to carry the load, saying the same thing my ex said, tired of having to carry the load by ourselves. We tired of being single mothers. We tired of this, we tired of that. And we want just people to be around. We want somebody to help us out. And we want our lives to be better. Well, it's the men that you choose. Here I am, I'm trying to talk to you. You don't even want to talk to me. Only thing you want to talk to me about is how black men are nothing. So if you listen to this clip, I'm bringing all of this up to say this. If you listen to this clip, if you look at this guy, she's a black woman. He is an Indian male. You can look at him. She's twice his size. Now, how many black women that are 6 feet tall, this thick, would date a guy that's that smaller than her? Look how he looks in comparison to her. She's thicker than him. She's bigger than him. But black women are now, they're settled, quote unquote, they're settling, quote unquote, they're settling. They're like, okay, well, he's smaller than me, girl. He's smaller than me. But, he's Indian. He's different. So I think I'm going to have a softer life over here. I'm going to have a softer life. So that's this whole perception. I'm telling you, if you look at all of these black women now that are talking all this divesting from black men and black men are nothing, when you listen to this Cynthia G type of bullcrap talk, it's only because they deal with a certain particular type of black male who treats them like trash. And then they get this perception from other women and from the media. And that's why I made these videos. Y'all need to go back and listen to them about how the media is pumping up black women getting with white men and it being all love fest. And then they think that their life's going to be easier with a white man or a non-black man. So that's why you see her saying this now. I want the easy life. I want an easy life. I'm tired of settling. It's unconscionable what black women are saying and how black women are thinking these days. Because, like, once again, they think they'd rather jump straight to an Indian man or white man or even Asian men. I see them with them too, and Hispanic men, thinking that life's going to be easier, and then they change their whole disposition up when they go over there. But this one right here, Alicia, she didn't change her disposition up at all. She's trying to learn the interracial dating game. She's just thinking that she could act towards him the way she acts towards brothers, and that is being combative, being very, I don't want to use the other word, but she's just being very combative, being very uncooperative, and just being a jerk. And so she's saying it right here in this video. I got to be a little bit nice. I want the easy life, but I didn't realize in order to have the easy life, I got to change my behavior. So now she's learning. So she'll learn for the next white man or for the next Asian man that she dates. Let's continue.
Your family going through all that they did, it caused you guys to really idealize relationships, right? And
specifically relationships that last.
Absolutely.
So in this snippet, Jay just really basically talked. The host basically asked him about his family and his upbringing, and he's basically saying that my family and our upbringing and our culture, it's about having relationships that last and building families and relationships and foundations that last. That's going to play a very important point going forward, because I'm going to kind of summarize and come back to that point. But I left that clip in here on purpose because I think it's going to play a definite role when you listen to her behavior and her disposition and how she's approaching the dating scene and what she thinks dating and courtship is and what he as an Indian male thinks dating and courtship is. So pay attention to that. Let's move on.
Can y'all tell me how y'all met? I want you to tell me how you guys met.
So I was in Midtown, and like I barely even have time to go out with friends and all that. But it was a really close friend's birthday, so I went to get some drinks for the first time in ages, and I saw this beautiful woman who it seemed like every other guy in the bar was either intimidated by or too shy to talk to, and I thought, what the hell? Why not? A week later, I asked her, "You want to go out to this restaurant?"
Yeah.
And I told her it would be a surprise. And maybe that might be a problem on my part. You know, it might have raised the expectations a little bit. But I guess the surprise ended up being Cheesecake Factory.
Right. Alicia.
Yeah.
So, Jay, you see Jay walking up to you in the bar, say Midtown. He's walking up to you. He's going to talk with you. There are other guys around you. Did you notice those guys probably want to talk to you? Did you see that? And
Yes, I did.
so what made you say, okay, I'm going to give this guy a chance? What was it about him?
Well, he was bold enough to come up and talk to me for one.
Confidence, okay.
So yes, I definitely am attracted to confidence. He just seemed like he had a pure heart. He was, very thoughtful, engaging. I mean, the only he won me over. He did win me over, but I'm a tall woman, and so there wasn't necessarily like that immediate attraction. But as we began to talk, it was really his heart that made me say, I'll give this guy a try.
I let this section in because this is what I want to talk to you about in this section. This is what I picked up from this section. Of course, they're just talking about how they met. But when you listen to, and this has happened to me on several occasions, and I've seen it happen to a lot of guys on several occasions. When you listen to when a man talks about how he first met a woman, it's very different from the way a woman talks about how she met when she first met a man. Like sometimes, and I'll admit, like there's times when I'll joke around and I'll be like, yeah, she wanted me. When I came in the room, you play that little, how Martin and Gina, when they reminisced about how they met, you play like you the Mac and, you came in and she was all over you. But then, you're joking and you say, no, I saw this girl. She was beautiful. She was pretty. So, I just wanted to go over and talk to her. And that's how you say that you met her. But when women talk about men, it's always, I saw this guy, and it's always got to be something negative. It's just kind of like blasé. It's just kind of like, he wasn't necessarily really my type. But, after getting to know him, then, he turned out to be a really great guy. Girls always start out that way. And I'm not trying to shame a woman for that. I'm just making this an observation because apparently this is just a woman's trait. And I think that this goes in with the traditional male-female interaction of, and this is why I say online dating is so horrible, is because, and specifically for me, let me just say specifically for me, I don't know, other guys are probably just having a fantastic time. But I think that, like when I'm in person, I can meet a woman and she can be gorgeous, she can be pretty, she can be average, whatever type of woman it is. I can meet women, and if they see me and interact with me in person, they start liking me. They like, yeah, I like him. I like him, and I don't know what it is. I guess it's the way I carry myself. I don't know. Well, maybe they get to know me and realize I'm a decent dude. I'm pretty decent. I don't know what it is. But they'll kind of like, yeah, I like him. I've had a lot of girls do that. I had a lot of girls, after knowing me for a couple of months, they be like, I need a guy like you. And they'll say stuff like that. And they'll be like, me and you should, have you ever thought? And they'll kind of start putting those signals out to me, for me and them to get together. Because I think that women, they look at guys a little bit different. But with us, it's more of a visual thing. And, we like it. When I saw her, I liked her. Whether it was because she had a banging body or it's because she had a banging face or whether it's because she had both. We look at it from that perspective. So that's just an observation. So, and if you listen to that clip, Jay's sitting up there throwing her accolades and he's kind of boosting her ego. And this is probably why a lot of women feel the way they feel, because he's like, I saw this beautiful woman that guys were afraid to talk to, or, they were scared or hesitant. How do you know that they were scared or hesitant, Jay? I mean, maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I wasn't there, but you don't know. That's kind of like in a court of law. That's inadmissible. Somebody, if a defendant's lawyer would object. You can't tell how somebody feels or what they were thinking. So Jay, once again, is feeding her ego by basically saying other guys were scared to talk to her, and she's sitting up here eating this stuff up, and it's all this is doing is reaffirming to her when she leaves this show that yeah, I am beautiful and I deserve better than Cheesecake Factory. So I just wanted to point that out, and then and as you can hear her response, it's like, yeah, I saw him, he met him, he was bold enough to talk to me. It's always about them. It's kind of like, yeah, he was bold enough to approach me and bold enough to make a move on me. So then she goes in with that, and then it's like, well, but when I met him, I'm a tall woman, and so then she kind of taking her little digs, but in the end, it wins her over. But it's just traditional. But I will say this, just to not totally beat her up. That's traditionally how women look at it. They're like, I give this guy a chance, and then once they do fall for a guy, they genuinely fall for the person that he is, because they're not really falling for us for our looks. So let's just continue on.
Right. So when he asked you the question, you expect men to go all out on a date, huh? Mm-hmm. You said absolutely. If he likes her, he should present that, right? He should lead and be masculine. He should be willing to pay for the meal, show up on time, open doors for her, the whole nine. But when he asked you, what is a woman expected to do? You said, look good, be there. And that's where the right
disconnect was.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because there should be things that a woman should do, right? So if you've thought about that, could you tell me some of what you think now, if he were to ask you that question today?
Sure. If you think about watching the video, it's like, how do you expect this person to keep giving, and you're not giving anything back? So now we're depleted.
Absolutely.
And so who's going to pour into him?
Wow.
So, I mean, if you truly do want that type of protection provider, there has to be some balance.
Absolutely.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing more I can say really about that. I think it's well said. I think Alicia said it. She had a great response. I think that, her response was beautiful in that moment. I think it was very appropriate, and I think it was definitely accurate. You definitely have to have balance. If you have an expectation of a man, the expectation from females just can't be, well, I'm just going to look good and you're going to get to take me out. You have to have some type of other interactions, and they're going to talk more in depth. And I think the host does a good job of explaining some things, and it's going to come up in a minute. But I think Alicia's answer was definitely on point, and I think she had a perfect response.
So here are the behaviors that look good to a man when he's looking for a woman. I'm going to ask you the same questions you got if you like the sound of that. Men are looking for kindness, right? You want her to be really kind, really sweet, right? Pleasant. So what about active listening?
Yeah.
And you said when she got in the car, she was putting the makeup on and she wasn't really responding to you or responsive to you.
Yeah.
You took from that she didn't like you much.
Yeah.
Right. Encouragement. And,
yes,
and you said that, being able to pour back into him, right? Mm-hmm. Positivity, right? So not being negative, having a smile on your face, right? Respect for independence.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Adaptability. Okay. There was this time where you wanted her to hold your arm, right? And walk you so you could walk her to the car. She didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
You expressed to her that you didn't like that. And that made you feel like, of course, with her not being on your arm, how can you truly protect her, right? But also, her not doing that says she ain't really feeling me like that.
Yeah.
She don't really like me like that.
And I get, it was a first date. Maybe she's not at that stage yet. But
I get that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Question: let's just say you're out with him, right? You're on a date with a guy, and some guy comes up, takes your purse. Do you want your date to have your back?
Yeah.
So
he has to protect me.
And even if he's not ready for that yet, right? Because he shouldn't even ask you on a date if he's not going to protect you or something would happen to you. This is why you should take his arm. You see, so it may feel like I'm giving this guy too much of me, but it's more like I'm being cooperative to the roles that we're playing. He's going to protect me if something happens right now, and so I'm going to stand close to him. This lets the people on the outside looking in know that I'm with this man. He is taking care of me. We're out together, right?
It's like it kind of shows that you trust.
Absolutely.
I think I felt like
Trust is a big
What women get out of a date is a free bodyguard. Because if anything goes wrong with her, he has to really put his life on the line for her. Okay. So if a man asks you out on a date, you shouldn't say, I'm not ready to hold your hand. I know that seems like a move forward in a relationship, so to speak, but it's actually just part of a date. Your goal is to give him an example of what it would look like if you were his partner, and his goal is to do the same.
Wow, I think Kevin Wesley said that beautifully. I mean, there's nothing more really I can say, so I'm going to keep this section short. I think that people need to replay this section. If there's any section that you don't pick up anything from, it's this section right here. I think Kevin Wesley did a wonderful job, and I didn't even look at it from that perspective. You know, taking my arm says I'm with him. He's my protector. And when she refused that, and once again, see, women, you can't have everything your way. You can't go to the spots you want to go, have us pay for the meals, have us do all of this stuff, and we don't even get a handhold or like we don't get anything. Like you don't even touch us or act like you're with us. You just act like we're just somebody that's just paying for your meals, and then you just get to leave. You know, we're not asking to, you know, I guess to throw our tongues down your throat. We shouldn't. You know, we shouldn't be expecting that. Or anything, you know, beyond that, third base or home plate, but we should definitely be, you know, you should definitely show us at least some attention and show us that you value us and you appreciate us. And like he says too, you're auditioning as a potential long-term mate as his spouse, and he's auditioning as a long-term mate as your husband, and you're auditioning as his wife. So those are why you should do those things that Kevin Wesley just mentioned.
And so you're not getting a second date out of it. Meanwhile, here you are, you have spent your money, you spent time with this person who you're never going to likely see again.
Yeah.
Right? Women oftentimes are looking at dates as what they can get out of them, right? An experience, right? Take me to a nice restaurant. I want the ambiance. I want the treatment, right? And with no intent of doing anything special for the guy after the date. So it's almost like it's almost like she's getting over on him, right? Like she's using him for meals. And that's what men say. I'm not going to keep taking these women out if they don't like me. Don't go out if you don't like me, because then it wouldn't end up where he's on the outside looking into the thing. What do women say oftentimes when he's upset? I took you to this restaurant, I did that, and now you don't want to get close to me, you're not ready. And she's like, well, you wanted to do it.
Once again, I've already talked about this, and he's hit the nail on the head again. Kevin has hit the nail on the head again. That's Kevin, the host. And I've just given y'all the examples of my experience. That's why I have said no more am I taking women out on fancy dates. I'm, you know, and my palate is when I like to go out to eat. When I go out to eat, I like to eat stuff that I can't cook at home or that I don't cook well. Because I can cook a crab cake, but I can't do it well. I can cook a lobster. I just can't do it well like they do it at the restaurants. All of that. So I like to go out and eat stuff that I don't typically get from my house. But I've kind of said with the last date that I went on, which was months ago, which, like I told you, went out one time and she just totally disappeared. It's like, that's the way we feel. It's like, all I do is spend money. I got to spend $200 to take you out. Oh, that doesn't work out. Now I got to find another female and spend $200 and take her out. But that doesn't work out. I got to find another. The woman told me dating is a rich man's sport, and it definitely is. Definitely is. And so, once again, I think Kevin has kind of summarized this very well. Women need to start at least taking that into consideration. And I know you always got to have a comeback. Well, we got to spend money to get dressed and look good and do. You know, they always have to have a comeback. They can't just look at it and say, okay, we understand. You know, because a lot of times we would take y'all as y'all are. But, you know, y'all claim, and what, like I was just watching the video I just did on the Kendra G / Vivica Foxman video. They claim they like wearing makeup and they do it because they like doing it. So make your mind up. Are you doing it because you like doing it, or are you doing it to impress me? Because if you're doing it to impress me, you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to put on makeup and get your fancy hairdos done. Just come as you are. Look, you know, as long as you do your hair, but you don't have to wear weaves and extensions and fake lashes and all that. Just come as you are, and let's just have a good time and hang out in the streets.
I would have set aside the date, right? Us being late to that reservation. You're not holding my hand. You're not talking to me in the car. But it seems that you pulling out that camera really, really got to him. Do you mind telling me what you probably took by that? You're just on a date, and all of a sudden now she's recording you.
A lot of times, if I'm the one asking a girl out, that's me already offering to pay for the meal, right? That's me already being okay with that, right? But her recording me did feel like that's where I felt like she was trying to take advantage. She was trying to and maybe you had a different view on it, but it felt like at the time that you were just trying to get food, like a free meal from a fancy restaurant, and then you get content from me too to post on YouTube, Facebook.
And you get your reputation ran through the mud. So it's all be done at your expense, right?
Once again, I mean, it feels as though like Jay and I are living in the same body or the same universe or something. Like we're having the same experience. Again, like I told you, I went out with a female. She said she'd never been in my city before and she didn't know much about it. I got to take her around. I took her to some spots. She was very impressed by it. She had a good time. I even snapped some pictures. She wanted some pictures taken of her. I played cameraman, took some pictures of her in front of some signs because she wanted to be in front of these particular spots because we were just walking around hanging out. Went to the restaurant, had a nice $170-something meal. It was kind of like an early dinner because we ate about 4 something, I think. And then, got to hang out, got back, and all I got was all this talk about celibacy and I wasn't even asking to hit a date. We was just talking on the phone and just came up. But once a woman starts telling you stuff like that, you know that she's not into you. When she starts saying stuff like that and just coming off the cuff with stuff like that, she's not into you. And then when she starts talking, and just being, boisterous and semi-aggressive, they're not into you. And then she just wasn't returning phone calls, but then called me back the following weekend because I guess now it was hangout time and she wanted another meal. And so you look at Jay's situation too. When you watch the video, if y'all haven't seen the original video, if you have, then you know what I'm talking about. This woman is just sitting in the car on her phone, talking, live streaming to whomever. Like he said, getting content at his expense. He has to pay for her meal. He has to drive her there. And then he doesn't get to hold her hand. He doesn't get any affection or attention. And all he gets is combativeness in a lecture. And he gets posted online for the whole world to see. It's disrespectful. So it just goes to show you that, a lot of times women don't think things through. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said, I have a female friend now. And, like the stuff that she said to me, that she said about her ex when they were breaking up, it was like, well, why would you say something like that? And then then you get mad because now your ex doesn't want to be in his kid's life because he's taking it out on you and what you said to him and how you acted towards him. And I'm not giving him I'm not making an excuse for this guy, but what I'm doing is saying you don't strategically think things through. You just think that being a nastiness and just doing certain things. A lot of women just play chess. They don't play checkers. They don't look at the moves they don't look at how this one move is going to affect the board 5 or 6 moves down the line. I've had a few female friends that have told me stuff and then they wonder why they're getting the reactions that they're getting now. And then you can't tell them anything either because when you give it to them from a man's perspective, they just get mad and they get argumentative and combative. And then that's when I just like, I can't talk to y'all, and I just try to butt out of it because I'm not lecturing to them. I'm just giving them the perspective. I had 1 or 2 take the advice with the grain, they took it and they were like, okay, I see that perspective. I see it. But then there are others that you just can't help them. They're in a zone and they are who they are. And just like this woman, Alicia, she is who she is. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's just continue. Let's wrap this up.
Now, that wasn't your take. You have many groups where you encourage women on dating. Y'all talk about dating. Right. And this was something that you said, look, y'all see a lot of dates go wrong.
Right.
So based on your mindset, you really felt like he was taking you somewhere beneath your value.
Yeah.
And you were saying, I'm going to show the world how you treat me, right? Can you tell us a bit about that so he knows that, it wasn't to embarrass you, it wasn't to, get content, any of that. It was I felt wronged in that scenario. You mind?
No, I did. I felt like you didn't see my value. And in that moment I felt like I needed the support of my viewers in that moment. And not only that, like he said, I discuss relationships and things like that. So I thought that was a good opportunity for me to kind of have that conversation and see, like, what does everybody else think?
Her answer's full of crap. This answer right here is just full of crap, and I'm gonna explain to y'all why. Number one, basically what Jay said was true. You basically are posting him and getting content at his expense. Regardless of what your justification is, you did not ask this man. And see, that's the problem with today's society. It's like we can go around making videos and putting everybody, like if you're in a movie, and people in Hollywood know this to be true. When you are in Hollywood, like SAG, what is that, Screen Actors Guild, or the Screen Actors Guild, or when you're a part of these unions that are in Hollywood and in the media, you cannot do content. Like if you're an extra in a movie, you have to sign an agreement. I think they pay you maybe $50. They do give you compensation, maybe like $50 or $10 or something if you're like an extra. If you're on film and they've captured your face, they can't post you in a movie unless you signed off on a consent for that. But yet in this day and age, we can go around with cameras and just post everybody online. And so she knew that she was putting him on camera. If you have a particular show, why didn't you ask him, like, can I put you on camera? But yet she took the moment to put him on camera and to use the time that she should have been using to try to reconcile or at least right size her date, get her date back on track. She chose to interact with her quote unquote peers or subscribers, fan. I don't know what this lady has. She's probably gonna call them fans because she thinks she's bigger than what she is. But she chose to use that moment to interact with people online as opposed to being in the moment and being present with the man that she's trying to build a long-term relationship with. So what are you going to do in a long-term relationship? Every time you and your mate get to arguing and fighting, you just going to grab your phone and say, no, wait a minute, hold on. Before we start arguing, before we continue, let me set my camera up and go on live so the audience can hear this and so they can chime in. Everybody doesn't need to be in your relationship. And that's why a lot of divorces are happening now, is because people are getting relationship advice from other idiots. People just from the mainstream people that just have an opinion. I was watching this one show, as an example. I was watching this show. It was online. It was a YouTube video online, and it was some people in the UK. They were on a show, some black people and a white person. They were online and they were talking about dating and relationships. And the black guy said, in our culture, and I think it was a black girl on the show too. He said, in our culture, what they tell you is when you get married and you have a disagreement or falling out with your spouse, the women would typically go back to their elders, to their parents or to their elders and complain. And the elders would tell them, go back to your husband. Don't come to me. Go back home to your husband. And vice versa. The husband would do the same thing. Go talk to his elders and they would tell him, go back and talk. Go to your wife. You need to go back home. Basically, they're telling them, go back home and deal with your spouse. Deal with it. Work it out. In this day and age, we go to our cousins. We go to our friends. We go to anybody that will just listen to us. And then they just give us advice to say, your mental health is way more important than what you're dealing with. Leave. You need to go so you can be happy. And these people drop any and everything because they got some advice from the internet or from one of their friends. And the same thing is going on here. This woman chose to go on live to have an interaction instead of interacting with a potential guy that could be her future husband. And so her answer doesn't hold water here. it just doesn't hold water. She's like, I needed the support of my peers. Why? No, what you need to do is be a grown woman. You are a grown woman. You claim that your parents told you what courtship was. So if they told you about what courtship is, they should have told you how a relationship works and how to work through one. And then you should have been present in that moment, put your phone down, and you and him should have had a discussion. And also what she fails to do is she fails to mention in this clip, she said that she felt wronged or whatever, but did she mention how she wronged him by being over an hour late? I don't care if you had, I think she mentioned before in the clip that, work took longer. Well, what kind of work do you do? Is this an OnlyFans page and you just wanted to go an extra hour over? What type of work did you do that took over an hour to get to that you had to delay this man and make this man wait in his car for over an hour? And he couldn't even come upstairs and hang out on your place until you finish. I kind of understand that. But at the same time, well, why didn't you just reschedule the date? Why didn't you just say, well, today's not going to work, or I'm sorry, I'm running late? Or even if you ran late, just be like, you know what? I was an hour late. So you know what? As a compromise for me being an hour late, yeah, this Cheesecake Factory is going to have to work because, I was late, and it is what it is. So you have to compromise. There has to be some kind of bending in the relationship. And she didn't want to bend. Now, this coming up, we're going to come to the final clip, and I'm just going to kind of give you my opinion, and I'm going to summarize all of this.
Would you guys be open to another date, knowing what you know now?
I think if we were able to find a way to get our values more in the center, I could see us trying again.
I mean, yeah, I would be willing to go out on a date again.
Wow.
All right, y'all. You heard that. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know why either one of these people are trying to have another date, have a second go at this. I'm just going to be honest with you. I get it that people can change. I understand that. But can people change this quickly? No, I don't believe that. I think what you have here is, you heard Jay's answer. And Jay's like, if we can get our values under center, basically he's like, can we have a mutual meeting of the minds and we can kind of align our values together, we can go on a second date. I think that maybe he's just saying this because he's maybe in her presence and he doesn't want to say no, or maybe he knows this is going to be on TV. And I think he's just a nice guy that just doesn't want to, kind of just say no and let the moment pass. I think it's politically correct. But there's no way in heck these two have a long-term future together. So if you don't have a long-term future together, why even go back out? Not unless you're going to go out as friends. If you're going to go out as friends, fine. But there's no way. This man has already said he's looking for, from the culture that he comes from an Indian culture. She comes from a African-American culture. Hasn't been totally westernized yet. He's already said his family values in the background is about building families. And, you could tell he said, which y'all don't get in this clip that I have here in the edits that I've done, is that he mentioned like Cheesecake Factory is his family's favorite spot. He even said, that's my lucky spot. So apparently, I don't know whether he takes all his dates there and he, that's where he gets, good vibes from. But he's like, Cheesecake Factory is my spot. So obviously that's his budget. That's his, I'm not trying to say he can't step up and do other things, but obviously he enjoys Cheesecake Factory. He is a plain guy that likes to do plain things. He's not about the flash and dash and see and be seen. She, on the other hand, is a person that keeps a camera in her face, live streaming. While they driving in the car, she's just sitting in the passenger seat, just not even talking to him, but just live streaming and just driving down the road, refusing to get out of a car because she looks too good and she's above Cheesecake Factory. So basically what she's saying is, I'm above your family. This is your family spot. I'm above that. So how could you expect a woman who thinks that she's above places that your family finds to be their comfort spot to have a long-term relationship with you? The woman who says that I'm beautiful and men are supposed to do whatever I want them to do and they're supposed to court me. And by the way, I haven't learned yet. I understand she's recognizing I have to be agreeable and cooperative and less combative, but I'm not there yet. Trust me, it takes time. I understand my shortcomings as a human being. I understand my shortcomings. I understand my temperament is a shortcoming, and I understand that there are other things, my patience is a shortcoming. But just because you understand your shortcomings doesn't mean that you can change them. They are a part of you've been acting that way for quite some time. It's hard to change things. And so this is going to be a hard sledding for them. Now, the one thing that I did edit out in this video, and she said that she's even willing to go back on another date. But what I cut out of the video was she jokingly said, so long as it ain't Cheesecake Factory. So this truth in a joke. I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all think I'm BSing, but there is truth in a joke. And so she's saying, so long as it ain't Cheesecake Factory, she's not playing. She's joking, but she's not joking. And so she's not, and then the host, I think his name's Kevin Wesley, the Truth Factory, he said that he would pay for them to go out again and have another date. So I guarantee you, this is where I'm going to fault Kevin Wesley on. If he did this, I guarantee you he's going to pay for them to go to an upscale spot. Something people love catering to women. And that's a part of the problem that we have in the society is that we cater to. There's nothing wrong with catering to a woman. But we can't continue to cater towards bad behavior. That's like, for example, that's like saying if a man is saying, my idea of courtship is, I get some oral treatment with a happy ending, at the end of all of my dates. There's no exceptions. That is the standard. And if this show would have been all about that, and then, what if the woman said, okay, we're going to send y'all on a date at the end and he has to get his, girl, you know what you got to do at the end of this date. Everybody would have a problem with that. So my thing is, we can't continue to award bad behavior. I think the host should say, we'll allocate this amount of money for a meal. And what you need to do is try to experience Cheesecake Factory. Just go on an experience of Cheesecake Factory, meet him on his level. Let's just, for once you do the compromising, see if you have a nice outing for a nice first date. And then if y'all have any other dates and if he wants to take you to any place else in the future, then you can go. But these high-end places can't be the norm for people. People think that we're living in a social media. People want to live their lives on Instagram. Just like the other girl that was eating oysters and some guy took her out and she went and ordered all these oysters and then he left her. Good for him. Good for him, because you just can't go out and the guy take you out for drinks and then you start ordering a gang of oysters and thinking that he's going to pay for it. And then you getting mad because he ditched out on the date. It's not going to happen. So we need to not award bad behavior. So the only thing I'm saying here is I hope the host, gave them Cheesecake Factory money and said, go back to Cheesecake Factory. Stop catering to this woman. This woman already has a very conceited or self-adulating viewpoint. She needs to be knocked down a peg or two. Bring her back to planet Earth. So once again, this is the Political Brown Kid. I hope you guys enjoyed this long-winded video. But it had to be done. I'll try to keep them shorter in the future. But once again, this is Political Brown Kid. Please drop your comments in and like and subscribe. Take care.